I am someone who's read books.
Okay, tell me what you read then.
I read How to End the Autism Epidemic. I read Vaccine Epidemic.
Okay.
I read a few other books, and I've been studying
And
this.
what's your conclusion from what you read?
My conclusion is the same as the IOM's conclusion.
Yeah, people have them.
There's a lot of missing data. There's a lot of missing studies. There needs to be a lot more research.
But I never had a photog.
You're talking about you have to have a medicine that's so safe. We know drugs have side effects, but vaccines don't.
Oh, yes. That's right.
We know corporations act for the bottom line profit. They have to do things within the law. But we trust them with vaccines to be altruistic and make pennies on vaccines. That was true in the 80s. It's a problem. Now it's a $30 to $50 billion a year business. We trust government agencies to look out for our welfare. We don't really. But when it comes to vaccines, we do. See, there's a disconnect here. And the problem is, it's gone on for a long time, a long number of years. But one of the main points is people don't know the information. When I talk to people, I ask a simple question. I say, how many people have died in the United States since the outbreak in 2018, September? Just how many people have died from measles? It's labeled a deadly disease. Can't be deadly yet, yeah. But how many people? I just want to know if people know they're dead. You can go ahead and.
I don't know if there are any confirmed cases, but it's something that once it becomes to an epidemic level, then you have much higher chances of someone getting measles.
Okay, well, the answer I want to stick in that.
Someone getting complications of having measles, like encephalitis.
It's zero. Zero have died.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so zero's died. So, but we say, but now.
An epidemic, then people do die, and that's.
It's not an epidemic, it's an outbreak.
Sorry,
Two different things.
Okay, measles can also cause encephalopathy. Maybe you will have seizures chronically, memory loss. You'll be unable to work. So I haven't heard anyone who's gotten the measles. Now, they all seem to be recovered. We don't know for sure, but let me tell you why I'm surmising this. Because if someone got the measles of those 800 cases and they didn't fully recover, you can be darn sure the media would put that in the news, because they would say, this is what can happen to you. You really need to vaccinate, because this person here got the measles, they got encephalitis, and they did not recover. But lo and behold, we haven't heard that. So where are the statistics coming from? They come from Africa a lot of time. 92,000 people, I think, died of measles. That's serious. But you have to look at where they died. When you get measles, I would ask people, should you suppress the fever? I don't need to be a doctor because I can read a little bit of basics. I'm not going to perform any operations. But I can read and I can see from different points where it is. Do you suppress a fever when you have the measles? The answer is no. You let the fever have to go to 102, 103, 104. 105 gets a little dangerous. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But you don't want to suppress it because that's the body's way of fighting this infection. And it's officially, I believe, known as an infection, not a disease. Another interesting thing about the measles is... Okay, right. So another very interesting thing about this is if it's so contagious, then why, when these people are on airplanes or in malls, you would expect a lot of people to get it. Now what we're saying is, no, we have herd immunity. So 6 months ago we were saying we need the 2% of those who have a religious exemption to not let up. We need 97%. It doesn't take with some people. But now, 6 months later, you don't hear so much about herd immunity because they're saying, oh, it wears off. The adults need boosters now. Go get your titers checked. Titers is going to be a commonly understood word soon. So when they say the science is settled, they just 6 months ago saying we need to maintain herd immunity, and now they're claiming that adults, it wears off and you need a booster. You can't have it both ways. That's because, and I understand this, no one's trying to do evil. It's the point when you don't really need to do research, when the AMA is telling you stuff, and the CDC is telling you stuff, and your professors are telling you stuff, And the AAP, American Association of Pediatricians, and all the news media is telling you stuff. Why would you even need to look any deeper than that?
Now, where do you see in 5 years from now this issue? Do you think any good will come out of it, where people are going to say, you know what, let's do more studies, let's, do something, or you think this is just going to be, just continue to what it is? One side is going to attack the other.
People have to connect the dots, and as we gain people and people realize that they got a vaccine, especially if the Gardasil vaccine comes in, with the Jewish people should not give up their rights to the government to dictate to them what can be done to their body, because Gardasil, the HPV, is sexually transmitted. And as a whole, the Orthodox aren't really promiscuous, so this should be one you can opt out on if you like. It's not going to be an epidemic where you have people running around being intimate with everyone. So the Orthodox who don't realize what they're getting into when they're saying pro-vax and mandates, they're going to get into a situation where is it stopping? We know a lot of people don't take the flu vaccine. It's going to start to get mandated. Once you give up your rights, very difficult to get them back. Let's take responsibility for ourselves. Let's end the censorship and let people figure out. If you want the government to do the thinking for you, they're going to start doing the thinking for you. Now, I asked Paul Offit this directly through a video conference. I said, I want to see a study of people who were unvaxxed against people who were vaxxed, because I was worried that there was increased...
No, hold it. You got
You're
it.
handing to me.
No. Just joining in, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, I don't. Continue on, yeah.
So I was worried that there was increased chronic problems among those who were vaccinated
Switch sides.
versus those who weren't vaccinated. And Dr. Offit at the ChemMed administrators and principals meeting had started to sort of disparage the questioner. He didn't know it was me. He said, well, we can't do prospective studies because we can't deny vaccines to people. Who said anything about denying vaccines? There's some people who chose, the homeschoolers, not to vaccinate. And there's some who chose to vaccinate.
Is that a problem?
No, let's just look at their medical records. I'm claiming that vaccines can help stop the acute illnesses, the measles, but at what cost? The injuries to individuals is way underestimated. There's two sides of this coin. So when you look at a study done by Dr. Mawson, it was a pilot study of 666 people. It was discredited because it was self-reported.
Can we back up and talk big picture here? There are a lot of people who are going to be coming here tonight. From what we understand, there's going to be a lot of talk presenting information that could be interpreted as discrediting the value of vaccinations. In your opinion, is that the right thing to do given the epidemic as it stands right now?
I believe that we need informed choice. And nobody here is trying to prevent people from getting their vaccinations. Yes, we believe vaccinations are dangerous for a good portion of people. Some people have a chromosomal defect of sorts, or which is they're more susceptible, so there should be testing done. And there's not informed consent. When you are mandating medicine upon healthy people, you better be darn sure it's safe.
And
So that's what we're against, mandating against healthy people. We're not carrying disease, people who are vaccinated.
Understood. What do you say to prominent members of the medical community within this Orthodox Jewish community who call this kind of talk irresponsible?
They've gone through a lot of school. They have a lot to lose. They're feeling a lot of pressure. They couldn't look at what they've done their whole life. Going into medicine, first do no harm, and actually come to the conclusion it would break their heart. Their soul would leave them because it's too painful to believe that they've been fooled. They're supposed to be smarter. They become arrogant because everyone looks up to the doctors. But when you look at all the doctors, they're all getting their information from the same source, the CDC, which has a great reputation. And the CDC gets information of what vaccines from the ACIP, which is a 15-member board. Those people have conflicts of interest that aren't even signed off. I mean, Julie Gerberding worked head of CDC from 2002 to 2009.
So how can the CDC have a great reputation if you're saying they get their information from a 15-member panel that has conflicts of interest?
The CDC doesn't just do the vaccines, they do other work.
Right.
So they can spread that information.
What is your name, sir?
Steve Euro.
Can you spell your last name?
U-R-O-W.
And do you have a title that you would like us to include under your name, or are you just an attendee? Or
I'm an attendee. I'm a long time.
are you a speaker here tonight?
No, I'm not a speaker. I'm a part-time activist for over 30 years.
Okay.
So I'm not one to be easily fooled. I've lived in many states. I've worked for Fortune 500. I've worked for a startup. I've worked for my own business. No one is going to be fooling me about vaccines being 100% safe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Do you know anyone personally who has had a vaccine injury?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I have someone who is actually articulate about it. He's 35 now. I invite him over to my house every so often. He comes over to my house. They're hidden away in group homes because they're scared of all the noise and the glitz.
So tell me the story. What was they took a vaccine, and how many days after did they have what?
He remembers it. It was just days after. But there's a lot of people here who can tell you their own personal stories. I mean, when you
So
think
tell
about,
me the story that you know. You saying
I
you know
don't-
this person personally?
Yeah, I don't know that much other than he got the, I believe it was the MMR, and immediately
He got what?
he felt his whole body was just, and it was just a matter of days, and he was in big trouble. And he's
But
now
what did
in a
he?
group
But what
home.
did he get? He's in a group home for what? What does he have?
He can't talk. He can't really function. He needs help using the bathroom. There's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of these people around. Now the parents, when you think about it, people wouldn't really want.
But he talked to you and told you his story?
Yeah, through sign and stuff.
What do you mean sign stuff? I'm confused
You
over
can
here.
communicate through a digital keyboard. And
Okay, besides that one person you're saying he's in a group home, what other stories do you?
I know
can
other
you- can
people.
you share them?
I can't name the other people because they don't want to be.
I'm not asking for names. Just tell me the stories that you know. If you told me you know stories, tell me the stories.
Get their shots.
Okay, how many people? How many people do you know personally?
Holly's Law with Robin. This is
You
personally. Robin Strivola
yeah.
was head of organization.
Right.
Her 6-year-old daughter died, and she goes to Trenton. I'm from New Jersey. She died from it. You just have to look at how many awards as well. There's deaths that have been awarded. You get $250,000 for a death, which isn't much. Sometimes you get more for injuries because they have to do those tables and see how much the person would earn. So I know a lot of people. It's not the kind of subject you talk about, especially people like me will say, Baruch Hashem, I have healthy children.
Okay, so
That's what you say. So it's not a kind of thing that you want to talk about because it's painful for people a lot of times.
Okay,
to talk
2
about
cases so far. Do you have a third or fourth? Any stories?
Yeah, I know a lot of people from living. I mean,
Tell me, tell me another
I'm
story.
not the one to tell you the stories. That's what the movie Vax did, and people. Some
No,
people
but
from
again,
Vax
I'm trying to,
did.
because you made a stand. I'm just trying to be objective here. You said you know a lot of people
I know
that have been
a person in my
injured. So
neighborhood
give me
who said
personal stories
personal
that you know.
story. Her son got the MMR, and he lost a lot of his auditory skills, and they had to send him to speech therapy. Personally, I know this person. I see them on a weekly, if not more often.
And how many days after the MMR did this happen?
I don't know the details, but it was days. The parents are convinced it was such a short time. And who's to know who's to know a child better? I mean, the doctors today, they're spending more time looking at the computer screen than they are looking at the patient.